Masters and guests. It is now 6:01 p.m. and we are about to start our meeting. Good evening, Toastmasters and guests. I'm Alwyn Santoma, acting in the role of Sergeant at Arms of the Platinum Artistic Toastmasters Club for this meeting. I welcome you to this Monday's meeting, and we begin as usual by stating our mission. The mission of our club is to provide a supportive and positive learning experience in which members are empowered to develop their communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. This evening's theme, creativity is intelligence, simply having fun, by scientific genius Albert Einstein. Without further ado, I would like to introduce you to the person who will take the meeting forward. Please welcome Club President, Toastmaster Marcelo Santoma. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. A pleasant good evening to all distinguished Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and welcome guests. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you today praying for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Allow us to engage in meaningful discussions, effective and productive discussions, decisions, and become fruitful in all that we do. In Jesus' name, amen. As we move along our meeting this evening, I'd like to again welcome everyone and welcome our special, well, everyone is special, our guests this evening. And I invite you to say a few words, if any guest would like to say a few words before we continue. I also would like to encourage all prospective Toastmasters, as well as Toastmasters who would like to join the Platinum Toastmasters Club. I encourage you to fill in the form and to register by clicking the link in the chat. We are very close to chartering the club at this stage. So if you can join now, don't miss the rare opportunity of becoming a chartered member. I encourage you to join and become the first chartered member. Without further ado, I now welcome the Toastmaster of the evening, Toastmaster Joni Laidlaw. Toastmaster Joni Laidlaw is currently the area director, the area 6 director, the Toastmaster of the year at her home club, the Power Speakers. She has obtained a trip consecutive past 2 years, the logistic manager for Division B, and she believes not harder and loves to incorporate the use of technology, her task easier. Welcome, Toastmaster of the evening, Toastmaster Joni Laidlaw.
Woohoo! Thank you, President Saint Omar. Intelligence or creativity is intelligence having fun. When else am I gonna get to be a part of a painting painted by none other than our very own acting Sergeant at Arms, but actually VPE, Alwyn St. Omar's father. Now I'm standing right next to greatness because the saxophonist happens to be the uncle of, you wouldn't guess it, our very own president,
Woo.
who introduced us.
Mercy.
Thank you, Toastmaster Carla. Mercy indeed. Without creativity, having fun, we don't get the chance to leave these lasting legends that could allow someone like me here at our Toastmasters meeting to have some creative fun. Now, there's 3 parts to all our Toastmasters meetings. There is the educational section. There is table topics where everyone will get a chance to speak, or so we encourage. And then there will be the evaluation, because that is the lifeblood of our organization. Fortunately, in order to have that evaluation, we do have a team. For that team, I will be asking our general evaluator, Shannari Bullock, who is a distinguished Toastmaster and also a member of the Nova Power Speakers, to introduce us to his team as well as his role. Oh, and we clap at Toastmasters. Woo!
I heard some clapping, and I'm here all branded and everything, and everybody is all creative, so I need to catch up. Platinum Creative, good to be here. I look forward to seeing what you have in store and to give you some feedback as to what I found worked well in the meeting and what we could possibly look at making some modifications for. It's a big task, so I'm going to be supported by a team. You'll hear from my account timer and grammarian, and I'm against this tag team thing. I'm tired of it. Fire on the tag team. And you'll also hear from our speech evaluators and table topics evaluator later down in the program. We're now going to hear from my functionaries and I'm so happy that you didn't put it in the order tag team on this agenda. I'm so happy. I love you guys already. So we'll first hear from our account Toastmaster, Brian Anthony San.
Greeted Toastmasters and guests. The purpose of the R counter is to note words and sound that are used as crutch or pause filler by anyone who speaks. During the meeting, I will listen for overused words, including and, well, but, so, and you know. I will also listen to filler sounds, included and I will also note when a speaker repeats a word or phrase, such as I, or this means. At the end of the meeting, I will report the number of times that each speaker used these expressions. Thank you, Sir Toastmaster.
Thank you for your thorough introduction of your role, and I'm looking forward to hearing your report.
Sir, right.
Awesome, cool. Our grammarian should be Toastmaster Anne-Marie Joseph, but I'm not seeing her here as yet. So Toastmaster Carla, I've scanned the agenda and I know you're always willing. Carla Isaacs, not Carla Blair.
Oh.
Yes, I know you're always willing to. Toastmaster Carla Isaacs, would you be willing to jump in?
Sure. What is the word of the day?
I'm looking for that right now.
Inspire.
Inspire.
Inspire. Okay, and it's on the left of the second page, Toastmaster Carla. So if you need, I'll fill in the definition for you, but please introduce the role of grammarian for me.
Sure. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, good evening. The purpose of the grammarian is to listen carefully to everyone who speaks during this meeting. I will make note of proper use and improper use of the English language. I will also be introducing the word of the day, which is inspire. Each Toastmaster is asked to use the word of the day during their presentation. This evening, Toastmaster Marcellus will inspire us with his creative ability of his artwork. That is being used in a sentence. I encourage each individual on the call to use the word of the day, which is inspire. Toastmaster General Evaluator, over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Carla Isaacs. I knew you wouldn't let me down. Toastmasters and friends, the definition is in the chat, and please give Toastmaster Carla a hand for coming up with a sentence impromptu. It's applicable and very fitting for me. Thanks, Toastmaster Carla. We will now move to our timer, a real superstar, one of my faves. Please, Toastmasters and friends, help to welcome to the virtual lectern, Toastmaster Dominique Barnett, as she tells us about her role.
Thank you very much, Mr. GE. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, as your timer this evening, I will record and manage the times allotted for each section of the meeting. And for our speakers, I will be reminding them of the time that they have spent on their speeches and the time that they have remaining through the use of some wonderful cards. For prepared speeches, whose allotted time is 46 minutes, they will see the green card at 4 minutes, the yellow at 5, and the red at 6. For speeches that are 5 to 7 minutes, green card at 5, yellow at 6, and red at 7. For special segments or speeches where the time is 15 minutes, that has been allotted, they will see green at 5, yellow at 10, and red at 15. And of course, for our table topics segment, speakers will be allotted a total of 2 minutes within which to speak off the cuff, and they can look out for the green card at 1 minute, yellow at 1.5 minutes, and the red at 2. And lastly, for our evaluators who have 2 to 3 minutes to speak, green at 2, yellow at 2.5, and red at 3. And when called upon to do so, I will give my report. Over to you, Mr. GE.
Thank you, Toastmaster Dominique. A quick question for you. What's the qualifying time for table topics at this club?
As I am aware, the qualifying time would just be within 1 minute and 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you very much. Toastmasters and friends, you've heard from my core team, but you'll also hear from our speech evaluators later on, including our table topics evaluator. We will do our best to listen carefully, and hopefully we'll inspire you to go on to even greater accomplishments with our feedback. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Creativity is intelligence having fun, and a part of that is to be inspired or to gain inspiration. Next, we have our Art Talk segment. Now, that is something that is unique to our club. And today, we have a very special, inspirational Art Talk speaker, Ronald Boo Hickson. His talent transcends cultures and sound, bringing a fresh and innovative blend of jazz and Caribbean music. His mother was actually a part of his inspiration. And for everyone who knows, the maternal role is something that I take very seriously. So to look at her inspiration being brought to life for all of us to share makes me rather proud to introduce our Art Talk speaker. But because it's me and I do have to be the word of the day in as many conjugations as I can possibly find, we are going to look at an inspiring introduction before he takes the virtual lectern. So I'm going to ask our Zoom master to roll that clip for me before I invite him to speak with us.
Taiwan Niao. 谢谢，谢谢。
All right, so everyone, I know that inspired us to get moving, to start dancing. All right, and most importantly, I know it piqued our interest into the creativity that went into making that great piece of musical art. Ronald Hickson, I hope I can say boo. The virtual lectern is yours.
Absolutely, thanks for having me. You can call me boo, that's all right. Thanks for having me. I really feel very honored to have been asked to speak with you tonight. I want to talk to you a bit about my background and some of the things I think that have hindered us all as people involved in the creative industry. I was taught to play the guitar by my mother, and my dad also played the clarinet. And my dad was part of the West Indian Regiment, which is a contingent of the British Army during the war. And because of that interaction, my dad brought home all the Duke Ellington and the Ella Fitzgerald and Count Basie and Louis Armstrong. So I grew up as a little boy in this island listening to a lot of jazz. So to fuse it with Caribbean music came like second nature to me, you know. But to operate at the level that some of us do, I've been doing music for practically all my life. My mother forced me to find an 8-to-4 job after I left school. Her argument was that I needed to develop some work ethics because nobody in St. Lucia had decided to become a professional musician before. So she wanted me to understand what it is to go to work at 8 o'clock in the morning, leave at 12, go to lunch for 1 hour, come back at 1 o'clock, blah, 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 blah. So I did it for a while. And one day I just said to them, okay, this is it. I'm leaving this job today. I'm going to play my music. And thanks for having me. And I didn't even offer a resignation. I didn't write any resignation, anything. I just left. So they probably still have money for me. But anyway, so my life went on to this day as a professional musician. One of the things that I am pretty annoyed about is the perception that the decision makers in the islands, and when I say the decision makers, I speak of people who form government policy, and also the financial institutions. I'm very concerned about the perception they have of us and what we do, because I've spent my life writing songs, recording songs, and playing my guitar. If I had gone to the bank, at this point, I live in the part of the island where the real estate is most expensive. And I did this by playing music and writing my songs. But here's what. If I had gone to the bank with my catalog of songs and said to them, listen, I want to borrow $1 million, I can give you my catalog of songs as security, they'd probably think I'm a lunatic. And I want to know why. Because the guy who's sitting in the bank making decisions as to whether he should lend me that money, I make more money than him in an hour. But he's deciding he cannot lend me money because I play music for a living. Something is radically wrong with that. If Bob Marley had gone to the bank 20 years ago and said, listen, lend me $5 million, I will generate 100 million in 15 years. They'll probably say Bob Marley's a lunatic too. And these are the things that get me very upset about the financial institutions, the disrespect they have for what we do. Because I think they need to be re-educated and they need to understand what time of day it is with those of us involved in this, in the creative industries. We spend a whole lot of money incentivizing the tourism industry that we own very little of. So we'll give a hotel a 25-year tax-free holiday and 25 years duty-free concessions. But you want me to pay import duty on my guitar. I refuse. And I challenge them all the time. You seize my damn guitar, I'll embarrass the whole country over the whole world. And I can do it because they can't fire me. My office is all over the world, and I understand that clearly. And having said that, I think those of us who have developed our craft up to this level and understand the following that we have to know how to use it against the powers that be. But our timing has to be right. I also have issue with the people in government that make decisions on our behalf, because you cannot be incentivizing. You can't be incentivizing the tourism industry to the extent that you do and want me to play import duty on my guitar. Nah. Our music is us. The art that Allwyn does is us. Our dance is us. Our spoken word is us. We own very little of that tourism industry. And what I do know is that to develop the creative industry, every aspect of it, to the extent that it can possibly be developed, we can make a contribution to the GDP of all of our countries in a manner that would shock these people, these decision makers. We need a decolonization of their minds. That's what we need. Because they have been educated in a way that does not permit them to see the value in what we bring to the table. We are part of a multi-billion-dollar industry, and the support we need to develop this industry so that we can have a profound impact on our economies is nothing comparable to what they've been doing with tourism that does not belong to us. I'm not suggesting in any way that we get rid of tourism. It is an industry that is driven by people who come to the islands for frivolity. And we're preparing our people to deliver frivolity to people. We will never catch it. To me, that does not make sense, and it's a sellout to our people. We must prepare our people for industries that we can control, like the creative industry. The creative industry will be driven by every successive generation of our people, and nobody can take it from us, nobody. Nobody can take Jamaican music from Jamaica. The Jamaican will always own their music. And I have no doubt that all the Jamaican artists together probably bring in about $1 billion US a year into Jamaica. What more do we want? How much more do we have to tell our leaders and our decision makers so that they understand the importance of what we do? Something is wrong with the way they have been educated. And I think there is a disconnect that does not permit them to understand the value of what we do. And I'll tell you what, I want to speak more specifically about music because that is my strength. Mostly, I would say 99% of the music that comes out of the Caribbean that has become hits, that is not driven by the elitists in the Caribbean. It's driven by the grassroots people. And this is where the politicians are complaining about problems. But these are the people with all the talent. These are the people that can rise to the top and make enough money to impact our economies in a profound way and change things, where they come from. But the politician does not see that. And I think a lot of it stems from the fact that the politicians have a fear of us. They have a fear of our thinking. They have a fear of the fact that in all of us, there's a certain space that we don't allow people to control. We will die. We'll starve, but we will stick to our conviction and what we believe. And I don't think the politician can deal with that. And for that reason, I believe that is part of his reluctance to support us in the way that they should. I understand I have very little time, so I don't want to hog the time you have left, but I want to thank you for having me. And I want to address any young musicians who are part of this tonight and to say to them that to get to a level where you can do some of the things I've done the Lincoln Center 3-4 times. I did the White House in 2013. I did Super Bowl. I performed at Super Bowl 13. I've done a lot of stuff. I've been nominated for a Grammy with Tracy Hamlin that I write a lot of songs for. But to operate at this level, it requires almost a lifetime commitment. It requires a conviction and a belief in yourself. If you don't have that, it's very difficult to get to this level. You must believe in yourself and your work. And it is important that I don't view St. Lucia as my competition. I view the world as my competition. And because of that, I'm very committed to what I do. I rehearse for many hours a day. And because of that, I was able to play George Benson with Al Jarreau, with Earl Klug, with George Duke, with Norman Brown, and a host of other people. And I'm saying to the young people that I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm somebody who's disciplined and who's focused and who knows where I want to go in life. And to do this, you must be just as disciplined and focused and committed. Thanks for having me. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
All right, so we will have those placed in the chat for you, and we can always have a follow-up because, as we know, the meeting after the meeting is always the fun part where we get to actually speak and find out more that we might not have been able to cover in the meeting. I completely understand where you're coming from because I live wrapped in music. It is the soundtrack of our life. It is what we do, and it is a huge industry that a lot of us have no idea about, just like art. So I'm gonna ask everybody to unmute and give our Art Talk speaker a huge round of applause for that food for thought. It may not have been the direction that we thought we were going in, but I know it's something that we are all happy that we were.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I would like to say good night to everybody, first of all, and thanks to Boo. I caught the last part of the meeting because I was out. However, that's Arnold Tulo from St. Lucia, from Dominica, blah, blah, blah. Boo is actually a good friend of my eldest brother, Anthony Tulo, who just launched a book on Amazon. And it's amazing, like listening to what you were saying. My main point I would add is, as an international Caribbean artist, what I realized is to ignore government.
Well, that's what I did.
Ignore government and go out and basically, as musicians, artists, dramatists, it doesn't matter. I did drama, I did theater, I did music. Do you understand? Right. I'm a percussionist, I'm a singer, I'm a writer. I'm also painting. But Boo has, at his age, at his stage, no need to explain himself.
Understood, Arnold. I totally agree. I completely agree. And like I said, food for thought. And after the meeting, I know we'll be able to follow up among ourselves. And I appreciate your input. And I know that Boo and everyone else agrees. He has proven himself based on all the accolades. We will actually be moving on to Toastmaster. Go ahead, Toastmaster Clyde, my apologies.
Yes. If the 15 minutes is not yet expired, I would like to request that our guest play a little piece of the chanson. Marianne.
Well, I do believe the time has actually expired, and it's why I invited our guest, one, to stay for his Art Talk evaluation, which I know you will be doing, as well as the meeting after the meeting. That way, any questions, etc., any meet and greet that he'd be willing to do, we can have in a more informal setting. Is that okay with you, Boo?
What can I say?
You see everybody's clamoring for it.
Can I say quickly, I have a 7:30 performance, so I'm not sure I can stay very much longer, but I would be happy to talk with you again, if you find it necessary. I know, here's what too. Did I go off on a topic that you didn't expect me to, or was I'm not sure.
We wanted music, Boo. We wanted music.
Oh, if you can hit the strings and play a little chanson, Marion, there's just 1-2 strings before you go.
What? Here's what. I'm sitting in my recording studio and I have to set up everything and get my guitar and
never mind.
Okay.
So I know what we're gonna do. That is a unanimous. That is inspired that we're gonna ask you to come back and we're gonna devote you playing for us for the next Art Talk. Can I hope that we can achieve? Okay, all right, great.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for being here. As you can see, it was a wonderful experience and we all look forward to seeing it done again. And to hear you actually play live this time. We're going to be moving in to our prepared speech segment, an icebreaker. Now, this is the first speech that is going to be given by Nandi Walcott. And Nandi, I hope I got your name right. Let me make sure that I'm pronouncing it properly. Nandi Walcott. And her evaluator is not here, fortunately. Toastmaster Jacqueline, distinguished Toastmaster Jacqueline Mocha.
I am now
right there. Yes. Oh, he is here in the nick of time. So
yes.
Her evaluator, Curly Roberts, fortunately made it. I thought he was a victim of the online space. Sometimes when we're here, things happen. But he made it in the nick of time to evaluate Toastmaster. And I'm going to ask him to take our virtual lectern and inform us of the requirements of her project.
Good evening, Toastmasters and guests.
Good evening.
The task is mine to evaluate Toastmaster Nandi.
Good evening, brother.
Yes, I hope everyone is well. I do apologize for my lateness. But let's just get right to it. Toastmaster Nandi will be doing her first speech in it's her icebreaker. And it's a 4 to 6 minute speech. And I will be evaluating her this evening. Toastmaster Nandi?
Yes.
I am looking forward to your speech. And I will be looking for, of course, you'll be telling us about yourself, you'll be introducing us, and I'll be looking out for your vocal variety. And I'm pretty sure that you are going to do well. Toastmaster Joni?
Yes, Toastmaster Curly.
My apologies, yes, go ahead.
Okay. So with our icebreaker, Toastmaster Nandi Walcott, Nandi Walcott, her icebreaker speech. Over to you, Toastmaster Nandi Walcott.
Thank you.
Greetings, fellow Toastmasters and guests. My name is Nandi Walcott, and I am a fellow artist in my own right. I am a footwear designer. I create custom shoes whose main attribute is comfort. The process begins with a fitting and a conversation with the client about the problems the customer has with mainstream footwear. Now I'm going to share my screen. Give me a second. So as you can see on the photo below, I start with the sizing of the individual's foot. And as I said prior, we converse about, can everyone see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can, very well.
Yes, we can.
So I begin with the fitting, and then I come up with a design for the individual, a design that we talk about, something that is comfortable for them. Here's a design that I drew. And one of the features that I had on it was a Lego block. I wanted it to have a Lego type of heel because the individual likes wearing heels, but they also like hiking. So they wanted something that would grab the ground. Next, I drew onto the design that I had. I picked out with them the different colors and patterns of the leather. Here is another slide that just shows you a little bit of the design. I then cut out the patterns myself, and I attach the various forms of the leather, and then I sew it together. This is me at work. The shoe making process is very complicated, but it's a process that I want to share with other youth in the Caribbean, and I would like for them to be able to view it as a vocation, making shoes. I am looking for footwear manufacturers in the Caribbean so that I can mainstream the footwear. Each shoe that I make is made by hand currently, but I would like to mainstream it more so that a factory can make it in the Caribbean. I would prefer, because a lot of times when people look for luxury, when they are looking for luxury shoes, they view it as European. I want to change that outlook, and I want handmade footwear from the Caribbean to be viewed as luxury. I want to open up that space more and more. Here's the shoe almost finished. It's stretched over the last. That is my N for my logo, Nandi. Here's the shoe being tried on, a fitting. Everything that you can see is handmade. The stitching is all hand done. Then the last part here is I add, not the last part, but close to the last part, I finish up the sole of the shoe. I attach it. I put a lot of shoemaker's glue to make sure that it's attached properly. And as you can see, you see a little bit of the glue crust at the front, which I make sure can't be seen when the shoe is finished. But that is one area where a handmade shoe varies from a manufactured shoe, where they're able to hide the glue and take away various parts of the creation process and not show it to the wearer. Here are a couple more images of the side. This is where I attached the sole. As you can see, it has the various grooves at the bottom, which I created. And then I put the bottom of the sole. Here's the shoe when it's close to being finished. This is when I pulled the shoe apart because this shoe is very special because of the comfort that the individual wanted. I lined it with shearling, as you can see. And this is the completed product. I hope everyone enjoyed my presentation. I am looking forward to making this craft something that is mainstreamed and done in the Caribbean, because I feel as though the Caribbean should have a luxury footwear market as well. Thank you and good night.
Thank you, potential Toastmaster Nandi Walcott, giving us a look into what it's like to create a luxury brand here in the Caribbean and in footwear, no less. Moving on to our next prepared speech, we have Chantel Baker, Toastmaster Chantel Baker, who is actually no stranger to our club. She will be doing her level 2 project 2, but first I'm going to ask her evaluator, Jason Cassius, to give us the objectives of her speech. Over to you, Toastmaster Jason Cassius.
Good evening, Madam Toastmaster. Tonight, Toastmaster Chantel Baker will be presenting a strategic relationships level 2, project 2, under the project cross-cultural understanding. The purpose of this project is for the member to identify her own cultural identities and stereotypes that impact others' perception of her. The member is to deliver a well-organized speech. The member will share some aspect of her cultural identity and stereotypes that impact others' perception of her. The speech may be humorous, informative, or any style the member chooses. This speech should not be a report of the contents of the cross-cultural understanding project. Tonight, the topic for Toastmaster Baker's speech is My Kindred. Madam Toastmaster.
Chantel Baker, My Kindred, Chantel Baker.
Move on, boy. You know, she say you're late to school. For those of you who don't speak patois or the Jamaican vernacular, that translates to leave me alone. Don't you realize that you're late for school? For a long time, as a Kingstonian born Jamaican, I did not understand patois. I thoroughly thought it was a musical language that only very few people really knew how to speak. And to top it all off, it's not very much a written language as much as it is a spoken language. So if you don't speak it, like many languages, you never develop the skill. Well, to introduce a little bit more about myself, I am a linguist. That I like language. Outside of liking languages, it doesn't mean that I speak a lot of languages. It means that I love a lot of languages. Now that we've got the definition down, what are some of the things that define me? What are some things that I self-identify as my culture? Well, as you heard, I am Jamaican, but more so Kingstonian. Technically, St. Andrewarian, if there is such a word. According to the Boston University School of Public Health, culture is simply defined as the way of life of society. But you and I both, society is a very broad term, and that is an oversimplification at best. So how do I define myself? I self-identify as female, not because of any attributes you can see on the table. I genuinely think I am a lady. I'm urban. I've always been a townie. I've been a student most of my life. And I'm Black. I'm Caribbean. I am Jamaican. I believe in the Christian. I work in human resources. And I'm a millennial. I have a fix-it mentality. Right now, it's kind of the stressed out fix-it mentality because COVID's taken a toll. But outside of that, while I can relate to all of those different attributes, you can realize that you can be one of these things without ever having to be another. You can be Jamaican without being Jamaican, and you can be female without being Jamaican. It's just how I identify, how I recognize the girl in the mirror. Another thing about me that helps to self-identify is what I love to do. And before I roll into that, I want to tell you about my family. My family is one of the parts of my culture, how I recognize myself. My mother's mother was a seamstress and a brilliant seamstress at that. My mother told me a story, and I think I don't believe her even till today. But the more I get younger, the more I see the wisdom of the words that were said. She said, my grandmother was such an awesome seamstress that she would go to bed Saturday night and wake up Sunday morning with a brand new dress. And don't think it's any pion dress. Yes, that is a colloquialism, and I'll define. It wasn't mediocre. It was the top-notch creme de la creme. And I don't know what inspired my grandmother to whip her magical hands together and create an outfit for 5 daughters in one night. Leaping off that platform, many people don't realize that the human species is all actually just one family. Think about that. Even though you don't speak my language, or you may not have my complexion, or your hair might not look like mine, or you may never understand why curry goat is still the best food in the Caribbean, that's okay. You're still part of the family. We are kindred. We only really have one parent, and that's Adam. Adam and Eve. If you don't believe that, that's okay. Scientifically, I'm correct. But it's not, we're not getting into that. Why? We celebrate our difference. And I know for a fact, the only way for me to appreciate my family is to get to know my family. You can't love someone you know. And you know what? That includes yourself. So getting to know yourself is really important in finding who you are. And I had to do that. So back to the platform of family. I love sewing. I really do. I love sewing. I'm not the shoe type of sewing like the previous speaker who was thoroughly inspiring in what she said. I love bag making, curtain making, fabrics. I just love the feel of that. It's a, and you know why I know that we're one family? Because we're just like fabric. It doesn't matter if you're plain, shimmery, Ankara, tablecloth, dish towel, or bandana. You're all part of the family of Flopper. And together, I think, in the words of Sophie, I want to say it correctly, Sophie Georgie Trudeau, the differences that separate human beings are nothing, nada, compared to the similarities that bond us together. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you, Toastmaster Chantel Baker. I'm need to tell you, I should be the one telling you, especially as it relates to the use of patois and colloquialism growing up. I still say we need a Papa Club as well. But I think the grammarian would freak out with a lot of us trying or attempting to utilize it and having to correct the vernacular. And with Toastmasters in what, like 16,600 clubs in 143 countries, they've tried to teach me Papimento. We had some Latin music here earlier. There was, Papimento is Dutch French. I'm not doing very well as it relates to the languages, but we do have a kindred family here and all are welcome. And I'm happy to see all of us here today engaging to become a part of our Toastmasters family. For our next segment, we have the second segment, which is table topics. Now, this is my favorite part because this is impromptu speaking. Have you ever had to speak off the cuff, make something up, fly by the seat of your pants with no idea where you're going to go on a topic that you had no clue about? Artists have to go to galleries, talk about their art, what they're doing, and sometimes it can be impromptu at a moment's notice. Table topics will help you with that. And to assist us in utilizing that opportunity to work on that skill is Toastmaster Carla, distinguished Toastmaster Carla McGarvey Blair, to lead our table topics segment. Toastmaster Carla, over to you. Mercy.
Hey, talk about inspiration. It is in the house. I am so loving it. Wow. Creativity is intelligence when you're having fun. I thought creativity was when you're kneading the flour dumpling and it's spoiled. And mommy said, just throw some and change it from dumpling to fritters. I thought that was creativity, but that's intelligence of mommy. Amazing. I have to give her a call and say, Mom, you are intelligent when I thought you were just being creative. Toastmasters and guests, such a pleasant evening. You have 2 minutes to make it happen. But guess what? If you speak until you see that green light, you are still in the making of becoming great artists. Now, you have to listen because table topic is all about the listening skill. Can I listen carefully to know exactly what's going on? Because you won't know when I will be calling on you and you. So you have to listen so that you don't say to me, can you repeat the question? Because I won't. I will just today move on to another speaker who was listening actually to me. So I will say my question twice, and then I will call on the Toastmaster or the prospective Toastmaster or the guest or the artist or the intelligent beings in front of me. Toastmasters and guests, let's go. We are ready to rumble. Such an inspiration. Now, during the process of you listening to me and having fun, I gave you the opportunity to take a chance, to take a tour into one gallery. Which one will it be? And when? I'm not asking why. I know why. You're going to steal something or take something. So during our time here having fun, I gave you the chance of taking a tour inside one gallery. Which one will it be and when? Toastmaster Ursula Willock. Let's go. Give it up. Give it up. Toastmaster Ursula seems as if she'd gone into the gallery already without even informing me the gallery she's about to go in. So you know what? Let me just bring it on. Toastmaster, Prad Cool, that's you. The chance to tour into that one gallery. Which one and when?
Thank you, Toastmaster. I forgot to rename. Anyway, I am Clive Bowen.
No, I love that name.
Thank you. My chance to go into a gallery at random? No, I select because I have many interests, but I cannot feed all of them perhaps at the same time. I therefore, on this occasion, choose to go into the art gallery and not the music gallery or the dance gallery. And I tell you why. As a child at school, I loved the art gallery. That was in my mind. And I would often be caught scribbling images on paper when I should be perhaps paying attention in my mathematics lessons and so on. I came close to getting punishment for wandering off into other galleries when I should have been in the one that the teacher was prescribing at the particular time. There was even an occasion on which I was nearly punished because I had my drawing right in front of me and the principal, this was my first year in high school, came and said, "Oh, you know, you're drawing." And although my picture was looking straight at me, I said, "No." She asked me 3 times and I said no each time. And she asked my best friend also 3 times and he said no because he couldn't let me down. Then she said to me, "Pick up your book, do not change the page, bring it to me." And I did, but as soon as I got to her table, this is real now, I opened and flicked to another position in my book and something else came up apart from my drawing. Then she commended me in the long run for going over an old assignment and making corrections. And then she turned to the class and said, "Listen, class, most of you will be wasting time. Everybody should be like Bowen." And of course, I stole a gallery there because I was not doing what she thought. But I guess whenever we are cornered, we want to find a way to escape. And that was my way at the time. Suffice it to say, when I went to college, I wanted to pursue music and visual arts, but I could not do both. And so I had to drop visual arts because it would not allow me to do another subject. But today, it lives on in me in photography. And so I go to the art gallery to remember what I could have been as a child and to think that I am still continuing to live and to pursue one part of me that I am so interested in. Madam Toastmaster.
On one side of excitement, as a teacher, I am not amused. On the other side, as an artistic, intelligent being, I will clap nonetheless. We are moving on. Again, the artistic ears are coming out because the artist you are dying to meet, the artist you are dying to meet. And I'm gonna call on prospective Toastmaster Arnold Toulon. Tell us about the artist you are dying to meet.
You called on me?
Of course, I know you want to talk, so talk.
Well, the thing is that I had a great opportunity of having an attitude. An artist has to have an attitude. So like you could look at art and the progress, or in other words, what are we here discussing? We're looking at ways we can improve, right? So yes. I always said to myself, an artist has to have a very strong attitude. That is why I said sometimes you don't worry about what government does or doesn't do, because we've been stonewalled with that for decades and got nowhere.
So Toastmaster Arnold,
you have is resilience and business. If you want to make it a profitable thing, you have to have a certain, like for my case, I'm not a good businessman. But basically what I have done is to establish a clientele. And that's the most important thing. No matter what you're doing, what field in the music or the arts you're doing, right? You have to start with one person at a time. There are a lot of artists who think they just go on a platform and it will just skyrocket their views. It doesn't really work that way.
So let me talk to you now. And this is a unique table topic question. If I give you the opportunity to say you're going to meet someone, which artist you would want to meet? That's what I want to hear.
That's a weird question. If I had to meet an artist?
Yes.
Can you imagine how many artists I would like to meet?
No, one. I want you to tell me only one.
Well, I know most of the artists in the Caribbean already. So I would probably have to choose an artist outside of the Caribbean. Because remember, I've showed my work from Trinidad to St. Thomas, St. Croix, Tortola, you name it.
So Toastmaster Tolan, you have to tell me before the light goes red. When the light goes red, you have to stop. So tell me that one artist. Oops. Tell me quickly.
My father again, but he's dead.
All right. All right. So Toastmaster Tolan would love to meet his dad again. Wow. So artistic. Again, we are bringing out the artist ears in us. What is your best trait as an artist? What is your best trait as an artist? Toastmaster or prospective Toastmaster Benjamin, Roland Benjamin. What is your best trait as an artist? Benjamin, you're not there? I'm moving right along. All right, let's move on. I am going to throw that question. Your best trait as an artist. I'm moving on. Toastmaster or prospective Toastmaster. Brother Curly, you want to take it? Take it over. And the light is yellow, so take it over.
My best trait as an artist. Wow. I don't even know if my best trait is my worst trait, but I do know that pushing myself more and more, I tell you what, I remember painting a picture once and I got upset that it wasn't where I really wanted it to be. And man, I started ripping up that. I started ripping and somebody came and said, no. What are you doing? And I said, I'm just not there where I want it to be. And they said, but it looks so good. And I was like, this? See, I'm not getting the colors right. I'm not getting the shades right. And they were like, but it's beautiful. And for me, it really wasn't what I wanted. I learned over time that as an artist, my work is never done. There is always something more that I could add to it. And I apply that in everything in my life. If I'm doing a speech, no matter how beautiful it was, something else can be done to it. If I start a painting, and if I get the opportunity to take up a brush and go back on it again, there is something. And I learned that, hey, probably you shouldn't want to just destroy something because it's not where you want it to be, but maybe you could just add something more. Because to you, it may be incomplete, to you, it may be horrible, but it's probably blessing somebody else. Somebody else is enjoying it because they're not where you are at in terms of what you want to get out. And there's so much perfection that is there. So my way of saying, hey man, this is horrible, I've completely turned it around to, hey, what could you do to just make it nicer? Thank you.
So I can see that your trait is not just ripping up the paper, but it is in fact making it different. Madam Timer, my time. Do I have any time for 1, 2 more?
Well, I gotta say good night, but guys, 7 o'clock, I have another appointment. I'm sorry. Thank you, whatever.
Madam Timer.
I already gotta go, I have another appointment.
You are about to enter the 13-minute mark.
Okay, thank you. It was Toastmaster Nandi Walcott who says that she is an artist in her own right. What artist are you in your own right? Danielle Barbara. An artist in your own right. What artist are you in your own right? And I'm not seeing that movement of the button. So I'm moving on to prospective or Toastmaster Mary Bruce. That's you. You're an artist in your own right. What artist are you in your own rights? You are muted, and that's another art too, because just to watch you while you're muted, woo. Can someone unmute Toastmaster Mary? It would be nice.
I'm trying to unmute.
All right, go ahead.
Okay,
go ahead.
I'm not really an artist, and I was never ready for that. But what I do, I train. One of the things I do is to train young people for the workplace. And that is basically what I do. And you have to take them from point zero to a point where they can go out to an office and work and do the work properly. And sometimes they meet me and say, well, Miss, I'm so happy you taught me this. I'm so happy you taught me the computer. I'm so happy you taught me this. But in terms of drawing and into music, no, I'm not that type of artist. I was trying to figure out what could I do? What else could I do? That is what I'm into. And I'm also a journalist where I write articles on domestic violence, articles about children and so on. So maybe I have to develop another type of artistic thing, but strangely enough, I was not ready for that question. But anyway, I'm not an artist as I've seen the other people, but one of my artistic things is just to develop young people for the workplace. So.
Indeed, you are artistic, believe it or not, because creativity is intelligence, having fun. We have listened to 5 inspired artists, 5 inspired folks in the house. And I truly want to say it was a pleasure just having that moment with you. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Table Topic Master. I was so enthralled, and I was in the chat about to let our last speaker know that, listen, Toastmaster Alwyn attempted to teach me how to paint, and fortunately he evaluated it so nicely. He said he could see the turbulence in the water, but I knew he was being nice. My art may not be this art. However, I can use my words to paint on a canvas to create a picture in the mind's eye that people can use to be inspired. And therefore, it's just as important that the art that is within you, which is journalism, be brought out and be celebrated just as much. As Toastmaster Alwyn said about architecture, which we didn't know is fine arts, or I didn't know it was fine arts with a day job. We are all artists in our own right, and we paint on our own canvas. Yes. We are on to the third part of our meeting segment, which is evaluation. Now, I call this the food for the soul, and to lead this section is our general evaluator, Distinguished Toastmaster Shanari Bullock. I now re-invite you for a virtual section.
Toastmasters and friends, I've been having a good time with you all. We're now going to find out how we can possibly improve and the areas that we did very well that we want to focus on. We'll now hear from the timer, the times for the prepared speeches, and also the times for the table topic speakers. Toastmaster Dominique.
Thank you very much, Mr. G.E. For our prepared speeches, our art talk by Ronald Boo, he spoke for 10 minutes and 21 seconds. For our second speaker, Nandi, she spoke for 5 minutes and 20 seconds. And our third speaker, Chantal, spoke for 6 minutes and 42 seconds. For the table topic segment, our first speaker, Distinguished Toastmaster Clyde, spoke for 2 minutes and 24 seconds. Our second speaker, Arnold Toulon spoke for 2 minutes and 12 seconds. Toastmaster Curly spoke for 2 minutes and 15 seconds. And our final speaker, Mary Bruce, spoke for 1 minute and 9 seconds. Over to you, Mr. G.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Dominic. You'll now hear from our speech evaluators in the order in which the speeches were delivered. Please help me to welcome to the virtual lectern, distinguished Toastmaster Clive Boyd.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. I will definitely distinguish myself in short order. For the moment, I do not yet wear that title. This is a moment I would speak to our guest artist, but because he's not here, I will not speak in the second person. I will speak in the third person, which I know you will understand. I had the privilege of listening to the entire video that we saw while watching it at the beginning as his intro. And I must say that that was one of his performances in China. And whereas I am accustomed in an analysis of music to evaluate a musical performance, I am now more giving a literary one based on his presentation of verbal reasoning with us today. But let me just say that jazz, as we ought to know, is an art form that cannot be gratifying without deep knowledge of its underlying structure. It's a conversation, and so without us hearing it, we cannot therefore dissect that conversation. Improvisation is one of the cornerstones of jazz. Having said that, let me get to what Boo shared with us today. Well, first of all, if we say boo in Jamaica, we mean you must get off the stage. But I'm happy that we can look at it as a reverse metaphor this time by saying, boo, we want more. We learned from Boo that he learned guitar from his mother. How wonderful that a mother guitarist should teach her son how to take the world by its horn. Mouth-watering from what we heard in the opening clip as well, to see that if we could hear that suave, floating tone of the guitar on top of the rest of the band, then certainly we would want to listen to more of what this artist could say to us. You can see the endearment in his declaration about his mother and the evident discipline that his mother would have taught him. Of course, we heard him say that he was a songwriter too. The difference between instrumental music and vocal music might be wide, but of course they come from the same stem. And so we can understand the continuum. I was drawn in by the attention to the political implications that Boo shared with us. He mentioned that politics of music, the politics of music would not allow music to be collateral. In other words, if you wanted to get a loan from the bank, you cannot even take your music. But when you become famous, everybody claims you and owns you. He referred to Bob Marley, of course, whose words are from Marcus Garvey originally, to talk about the decolonization of the mind. We emancipate ourselves from mental slavery, came from Bob Marley first, picked up by, from Marcus Garvey first, picked up by Bob Marley, and then now he has mentioned it. Can we deliver frivolity to people? No, we can't. But the moment you become famous, then the world claims you. And so we see the insight into how Boo has operated on the professional stage. And I know that he has mentioned a few, well, for example, I must tell you that Bob Marley actually enrolled in the School of Music in his early years, even though he didn't get to attend classes because of his tours. That being said then, I look forward to another session when we shall hear some music, and I shall be able to give you and the performer some feedback on his performance at that time. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Toastmaster Clive. We move quickly on to Toastmaster Curly Roberts, evaluating Toastmaster Nandi Walcott.
Thank you, Toastmaster General Evaluator. Is it possible for me to see Toastmaster Nandi Walcott? Can I? Thank you very much. Toastmaster Nandi Walcott. I was impressed from the get-go. First of all, you started by saying you're an artist in your own right. And I was there saying to myself, I hope when you're saying that, you're not in any way, shape, or form thinking that you're not an artist in every right, because you are indeed. I was so impressed when I see, to make a shoe, to make designer shoes, to make custom designer shoes. Oh my goodness. I know that I'm not the only one cheering you on just now. That is just totally awesome. And you need to just know how awesome you are. It is Nandi and her custom footwear. And you know what I loved was how you're from the Caribbean. I'm just so overwhelmed. You're from the Caribbean. For me, it is just so awesome when I see our people doing our thing and expressing themselves and loving it. And we could see that this is something you love. You have a passion for it. And that passion, I'm certain, has inspired me, and it is inspiring to other people. When you started showing, just for the first slide alone, I was like, what am I looking at? But then I saw that you were measuring the foot or the feet, and I was like, oh yeah. Listen, there are not many Toastmasters who would do their icebreaker and do a screen presentation at the same time. And you were able to do that with your first speech. I can tell you, I'm not gonna, there aren't much negative and when I say negative, sometimes we have to tell you what the punches are and, tell you some of the things that you could highlight, some of the things you could fix. For me, the only thing I'm seeing here is that I would have wanted to know a little bit more about Nandi. Like, tell me what inspired Nandi? Like, where's this coming from? Did you wake up one morning and dreamt about a shoe? Or did you look up in the sky and see what was it that made you choose shoe as opposed to glove, as opposed to music? What pulled you there? And I see I'm out of time. Oh my goodness, I would have needed more time to do this, Nandi, but I will be able to speak to you some more on this, but I think you're on the right path. You're doing awesome, and you just need to continue and move on to the next level. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Toastmaster Curly. And last but not least, we'll have Toastmaster Jason Cassius deliver the evaluation for Toastmaster Chantel. Toastmaster Jason.
Big up, Chantel. Chantel, mash up the place. That's the only Jamaican slang I'm going to attempt tonight.
Mercy.
My handy Jamaican slang book. But I think you did a great job tonight defining yourself, first by identifying your ethnicity, your country of birth, your religion, your locale, St. Andrewan, your favorite food, your age group, a millennial, and use very specific adjectives that would help someone narrow down what they see when they approach. And a lot of our stereotypes are built based on what we see when we approach someone. We say, this is this person and this is what they are. And you did a good job at saying we can be various things. So not every Jamaican is a woman, well, obviously, and other things, or not every Jamaican may be of a certain influence. And your message was consistent from the beginning. We are kindred family. And you emphasize this using the quotation from Sophie Gregor Trudeau. And you touched a little on stereotypes that you encountered about your own country. say in Jamaican patois was a singing language, as you had a previous bias, and that's why you didn't learn it at first. And then you discover it could be a spoken language and how you could articulate yourself. Your body language and vocal variety was very energetic in your presentation. And even if you were sitting down, you're quite animated and you had good volume, clarity, and tone. Sometimes when people sit down, it's like the voice just is down there. Like, you know, it doesn't, and you're good at bringing your voice out and being clear. Considering the whole topic of the speech, I think you may have spoken a little more on stereotypes you had and how you overcame it through your cross-cultural interactions. We're in Toastmasters and with several islands. And what could have emphasized your point was talking about how, let's say in this club, we have Jamaicans, we have St. Lucians, I think we have persons from other islands. What did you learn by interacting with St. Lucians? What did you bond over? You mentioned something about curried goats. You could have mentioned other islands say goat curry, and they were wrong. They were so wrong. You could have said, but we all love the dish. And you could have talked about your perception with bonding someone from another country, because we all have perceptions of all islands, whether negative or whether overly positive. So if you had explored that a little more, considering our settings, we're so diverse as a people, all our heritage, European, Indian, African. And then at the same time, we're all similar. So I would have loved if you explored a little more of that. But how can I challenge you? I'll challenge you to keep doing more, keep exploring more of your cultural identity and finish up level 2 and keep going until you reach that level 5 completion. So congratulations and big up. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Jason. And by the sound of that, thank you. I can see your evaluation was appreciated. Toastmasters and friends, we will now move to our table topics evaluation, and Toastmaster Jackie Moore Cox will do the evaluation, not Toastmaster Domain Gordon. He had messaged to say he was having some challenges and she kindly agreed to step in. So Toastmasters and friends, please let us welcome topics evaluator, Jackie.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Good evening to everyone. This is my first session with the club, and I really am enjoying the camaraderie and all the expressions of artistic and creative from the team. I am truly inspired. The first thing that caught my eye this evening from the Table Topics Master is her background, and that gave way to the kind of table topics that we were to expect from Distinguished Toastmaster. And I thought that that was fitting, and it brought a hint of creativity, and it also that we would want to have for the role. The results were also quite creatively selected, and I believe that they gave the speakers the opportunity to lend to the mood that was set by the presenter, our first presenter this afternoon. I thought that Distinguished Toastmaster Carla, as Table Topics Master, in her inimitable style, drew the audience in, and she tried to set the tone and to paint a picture of what she wanted from the speakers. And that in itself is, of course, the stuff that table topics are made of. One thing, if I were to offer a recommendation, Distinguished Toastmaster Carla, is I'm not sure if you did so. However, because we have quite a few prospective Toastmasters in our midst, you can probably prompt persons prior to find out if they are willing. And if so, we could circulate just a little notation in the chat as to the script for table topics, so that our speakers, the prospective Toastmasters, would be better able to respond to the questions. I know that you had to do a little prompting for the second speaker, and you handled it quite well. However, that could help to ensure that persons are on topic and that we are getting the best as we seek to mentor and to go forward. So all in all, I really enjoyed these table topics, and as a creative myself, I was hoping to be able to speak on one of the topics. However, I understand that we are seeking to give the prospective Toastmasters the opportunity to speak. However, I applaud the selection of table topics. I applaud those persons who attempted to speak. And as we go forward, I trust that we will become better at speaking impromptu, and we will be able to inspire others to do the same. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Jackie. Toastmaster Dominic, please don't restart the time on that. So as I told you, that we had a combination of table topics evaluators, and I'm going to drop in some specific comments on the first speaker, and then Toastmaster Domain will quickly wrap up with the comments on the last three speakers. The first speaker was Toastmaster Clive, and he had many interests. So he was the person stealing from the art gallery. So Toastmaster Clive, I like the fact that you got straight into it. You set the tone. You had good vocal variety when we heard the teacher's voice, and you kept it organized to the end. Something for you to consider is your framing and the consistency of the eye contact. So especially since you're not speaking from a script, try to look directly into the camera while speaking and not to look off to think, because when you're so close to the frame, it's very obvious. And then I'll ask Toastmaster Domain to quickly wrap up with the last three speakers. Very quickly, Domain. Did Domain disappear?
I am here. I am here. Thank you very much, Mr. General Evaluator. My apologies to Toastmasters, but I am happy to present on our table topic speakers this evening. Our third speaker was, is it Toastmaster Arnold? It's Arnold, who was speaking on an artist you were dying to meet. Now, Toastmaster Arnold, like myself, has the gift of gab. Unfortunately, he's not here. I would have loved to give him his evaluation. He spoke passionately, which is one thing I really like. Obviously, he was speaking about something that was close to his heart. So he spoke very passionately, and that's definitely something one wants to do in table topics. It has to come from a place of your own. I would advise though to Toastmasters that we focus on the topic itself. Now, his initial message wasn't actually on the topic that was being given, and therefore our table topics master, had to interject to bring him back to it. I will ask, though, Madam Table Topics Master, that we allow our speaker to go through regardless if they're on topic or not. That's where I, as the evaluator, would then come later on to tell them, hey, focus on the topic itself. You didn't actually answer the question. So that's one recommendation. Allow them to finish, regardless if they're on topic or not. Our fourth speaker was Toastmaster Curly Roberts. Now, everybody knows that I'm a lover of table topics. And one of the things I really like about table topics is when a speaker is eager and ready to just jump at the topic. And that was Toastmaster Curly Roberts today. He had a really good start. One recommendation we always have for table topic speakers is to restate or repeat the question. And Toastmaster Curly did that. It gives you a few seconds to, perhaps think of something to say. Very well done, Toastmaster Curly. You shared a personal anecdote, which I really like. It's very interesting. What's the best trait? He took a twist on it. His best trait is also perhaps his worst trait, and that's how self-critical he is of his own art. And he shared a quote I really like, is that an artist's work is never done. Many artists always feel the need to keep doing, like, maybe I should do this, maybe I should do that. And they never actually end up finishing. They want perfection. So we asked that, as it's a really good message, was encouraging for our speakers or artists to recognize that it won't ever be finished. So just appreciate it as it is. Our final speaker, Mary Bruce. I was so happy to hear you speaking. You answered the question. You definitely did. And I like that even though you said you are not an artist, rest assured what you do in developing young people is an art in and of itself. Perhaps it's not using a brush to, put strokes on a canvas. Perhaps it's not recording anything. Perhaps you're not singing, but there is an art to it. It takes skill, it takes insight, it takes the ability to engage young people, which, you know, many of us old folks, myself included, don't necessarily always have that talent. Don't say that you're not prepared. It's table topics. You're not supposed to be. Just keep talking. Just speak off the cuff. So you don't have to say that I wasn't expecting to. I mean, none of us were. Just enjoy to speak as long as you can. You spoke for 1 minute and 9 seconds. I would encourage you to just share something personal, something even more I would say pad the time then. But just share, because we want to hear. And thank you for being brave enough to take the virtual lectern. And there ends my report. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Toastmaster, I mean, I bet you've all never seen tag team table topics evaluation before, but that's how we do it at Platinum Artistic. Toastmasters and friends, we're moving on to our counters report. Please help me to welcome to the virtual lectern, Toastmaster Brian Anthony.
My work this evening was very easy. I was very inspired by the presentation. There were very little that I need to note in terms of fillers. Here me go with a filler right there. But anyhow, Boo, we had 3 arms, but his clarity in his presentation was excellent, and he definitely had a point of view and a wealth of experience to share. Joni, when we got to Joni, I only picked up just a filler, etc., and with a little pause. Evaluator, currently, there were long pauses. Twice I detected that, and he used the term of and, which fill in space. Nandi, good presentation. There was a filler which I see, as you can see, there were a few R's. Jason, well, sorry, Jason. Arnold, I got some fillers, in other words, and stalling. But in other words, there were very little for me to take note of. It's good presentation all around. Well done.
You're on mute, Mr. GE.
Hi, Toastmaster Melinda. Welcome. Cool.
That's
welcome,
the shocker
welcome.
you give. That's the effect.
My microphone just couldn't work anymore. Look at all the colors. All right, so now let's welcome to the virtual lectern our grammarian, Toastmaster Carla.
Thank you, General Evaluator, DTM Shahari. Toastmasters and guests, good evening. Creativity is intelligence having fun. Such an inspiring theme this evening, as several Toastmasters attempt and use the word this evening. We had Toastmaster Joni Lidlaw with beautiful use of the English language. For example, it is the wrap of our lives. And she used the word inspiration, inspiring, inspired, enthralled, inspired, a contingent. This was beautifully structured and used this evening, Toastmaster Joni. Our presenter, Boo Hickson, used an expression, blah, blah, blah. I would encourage Toastmasters on the call to use expressions such as, for example, or etc. I also heard Toastmaster Boo when he said, I have spent my life playing music. I think this was beautifully structured, and I must commend him for this, even though he's not on the call. Decolonization of our mind. I don't view St. Lucia as my competition. I view the world. I am not a rocket scientist. Beautiful expression and use of the English language. Toastmaster Jackie, inspiring, inspire, inspiration, beautiful expression as you maneuver throughout this evening. I also heard Toastmaster Chantel use the word of the day, inspiring. Then she said also, cream de la creme. You can love someone who you cannot love someone who you don't know. I also heard Toastmaster Domain in his evaluation segment when he said, I was happy to hear you speaking. I would encourage Toastmaster Domain to say, I was happy to hear you speak. Toastmaster Clive Bowen, he also used the word of the day, along with Toastmaster Kirtley and our third evaluator, which is Toastmaster Jason. Beautiful expression this evening, and I must commend all of you for making a deliberate effort to use the English language correctly and to have proper sentence construction. Job well done. Toastmaster Carla McGarvey also used the word several times. I just saw she gave me the emoji like, whoa, yes, she did use the word of the evening. Congratulations. And Toastmaster Shahari Bullock as well. Toastmaster Mary, I saw you too. Congratulations. And Toastmaster Marcelo, job well done. Toastmaster General Evaluator, over to you.
Thank you, Toastmaster Carla. Toastmaster Carla, you're going to learn to pronounce my name soon, by the end of the Toastmasters year. Every time. But very well done with your evaluation. Team, I enjoyed the meeting. I liked the music from before the start of the meeting, and it really set the tone and the vibe. I like the way we move through things, and there's just this general nice, light feeling, and it was good. It was a good camaraderie that I felt moving throughout. Persons were willing to jump in and take on roles at the last minute, whether as grammarian, table topics evaluator, so people were just willing to chip in and jump in. Toastmaster Joni, I liked how you moved the meeting along. So you started off with your energy and it was on point and you kept the meeting moving quickly. I particularly admired how you controlled the audience when they were threatening to get out of hand. And given the energy at that time, I could see that they'd be still here chatting about that presentation now, and we wouldn't have gotten to any speeches. I think you made the right choice. Bravely done, well done, and I don't think you hurt anybody's feelings in doing it. To my evaluators, well, my team, our counter grammarian timer, awesome job, well done. Just keep up the good work. For the speech evaluators, I like the fact that you're also positive and each of you managed to work in some humor into it. Toastmaster Curly had a little challenge with time, and that comes down to your preparation. I could tell that you were genuinely interested and overwhelmed by the content of the project, but you have to get that under control and jot down the few points that you want to commend, your 2 recommendations, and the stuff you want to commend or how you want to wrap up, and keep discipline to that. You can't trust yourself to wing it, especially when you've had such a good time listening to the speech. But I know the speaker felt that you were genuine because I felt that you were genuine. Toastmaster Jason, you are encouraging and relatable as always. Toastmaster Carl, I'm happy that Toastmaster Domain spoke about that little thing because I was trying to figure out how to do it and not hurt your feelings. I know that you meant well. I know that you meant well. And just something to keep in mind that we have to balance because whereas we don't want to watch people going off and not try to help them, we also don't want to try to help them and probably get in the way of, because he was doing something that could still have been evaluated. So I saw where you're going. I appreciate where your heart was. And I know that sometimes it's hard to find that balance. I didn't hurt your feelings, right? Good, good, good. Toastmasters. Oh, the meeting starting on time. So we started 1 minute late and it was a struggle and we still didn't have everything in place. So I'm going to recommend that somebody owns that task of getting the meeting to start on time, whether it's the person acting as Sarge or the VPE or somebody, and make sure that everything that's supposed to be on the agenda. So somebody needs to marshal it at the start to make sure that when the time hits 6 o'clock, that we've made all the calls to persons we want to meet, that we've filled everything that we need to fill, so that we're not at that point in time saying, oh, we might need to start a little later. But I like the fact that you pushed through and started on time, so I'll shut up before my extra 30 seconds is up. I enjoyed the meeting. Well done, Platinum Artistic Toastmasters Group. Over to you, Madam Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you, our General Evaluator. Creative, unmute and let me know. Did you have fun?
Woohoo! Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic.
And you know why that is? It's because we're intelligent, right? Today, we had an excellent example of a Platinum Artistic meeting. We got wrapped in music that demonstrated some food for thought that I doubt any of us came with the anticipation of thinking, but I know it's something we are all going to look into about the creative arts. We had some table topics that were inspiring. We also had some speeches that brought out an area of creativity that proved it doesn't matter if I owe you chat, because Patois is a leading part of dancehall music, which I also know a bit of that vernacular, so that's another language. We got inspired that we can incorporate our Toastmasters family and the wealth of knowledge because we are all kindred. We also had the opportunity today to get down to Toastmasters, and Toastmaster Clive is not boo like boo, it's woo, as in it shocks us into thinking. We got an entire lineup of creativity that proved that it is our intelligence. But most importantly, we learned that it doesn't matter whether or not you paint, you play the saxophone, you do music, maybe you just write lyrics to a song that somebody else can sing. You're a journalist who their art is raising their children. After all, as Toastmaster Jackie said, it's inspirational. Keep in mind that Toastmaster Boo, his mother, is why he's here. Toastmaster Marcella's family is here. And this piece that I get to create and utilize my intelligence in having fun was done by Toastmaster Alwyn's father. Creatives, we were intelligent, we had fun, and I know it was an inspiring meeting and we will leave here inspired. So I am happy to turn over to our president, Toastmaster St. Omer.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Toastmaster of the evening, Toastmaster Joni Lido. Very well done. Great job. And I'd like to say thank you to all the other functionaries, presenters, speakers this evening. And we were definitely inspired. Without further ado, we have a very important lady in the house, our club growth director, and I would like to invite her to say a few words.
Thank you, Madam President. The creatives, I'm going with the Joni. It is really a pleasure to be here. When I came into the room, I had so many things going on, but when I saw the explosion of color, when I just heard everyone, I felt highly energetic all of a sudden. Like I already have high energy, but you took it to a whole different level. And I'm so sorry that I missed all the best parts. So I'm going to have to be held accountable. Madam President, I would love to come to your next meeting and get to be a part of it, to share in the joy of being among these amazing intellects using this platform to have fun. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak, and I cannot wait for you to be a fully chartered club and hopefully maybe deliver the installation or complete the installation for all your officers. I'm looking forward.
Thank you so much, PTM Melinda Lloyd. And now I would like to say this evening was truly inspired. We were truly inspired this evening, definitely. Even our talk speaker this evening, our guest, Boo Hingson, when he went into a little politics and that kind of thing, but I like when he spoke of people don't really know you when you on your journey. But he believes that when you become famous, then everybody would crowd around you and want to know you and make a big fuss and thing. But we artists, we always think of what the road, the difficult road that we went through to end up where we are today. So no matter how much people come around and make a fuss, we often think of it was a tough road, it was a hard road, but we must always be thankful and be grateful for where we end up and how we end up. And most of the time, I would believe that it works out in the end. I would also like to say that with regards to the theme this evening, I was thinking that when we were kids, we would be free, we would be brave, and we would just draw. And we would say, we would draw a stick. We would draw stick photos and think that, we're doing a great thing. But when we get older and we get into the art, we kind of worry about what we do, how we do it. Is it great? Is it good? And even when we finish the painting or a crochet piece or a shoe, we would think that there's more to it that we could have done. We don't feel that it's completed unless somebody would say, it's good, it's great, I think you can go with it. It happens most of the time because it happens with Alwyn. I always have to tell him, well, Alwyn, I think it's good, we can go with that, that's great, Yeah, so as we move along, I would like to call on one or two guests who would like to say something on their experience this evening. Would anyone like to volunteer? Or can I call on DTM Hazel Fletcher to say something? A few words?
Thank you for giving me that. Let me put on my camera. Thank you for giving me that designation. I am not a DTM. I don't want to comment because I came late. I was just here at the end of the colors section. Yeah. So I didn't hear the speech. I thought it was 6 o'clock, but apparently it was 5 p.m.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
So I was late.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But anyway, I like the colors. I like the colors of the background colors and everything that I saw when I came on. Yeah.
Thank you, and thanks for coming.
You're very welcome.
With Toastmaster Alwyn Santoma, I'd like to say a few words of his experience this evening.
Yes, I thought this evening went very well. I thought that the meeting was spontaneous, like jazz, like as our guests. It was truly a spontaneous artistic expression. And I was really impressed by everyone in the meeting, Curly, Clive, Joni, Marcella, the whole color. It was just a potpourri of color. It was creativity having fun. As Albert Einstein, a scientist at that, thought that creativity may be actually the highest form of intelligence. So we seem to be in the right place, surrounded by all these artists. Maybe, according to Boo, maybe the politicians should look to us and we would be able to develop these fantastic new economic tools to make the lives better for all Caribbean artists and creatives. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Madam President, I see that a Daniel Barber had wanted to give some comment.
Okay, that's my very good friend, Daniel Morrill. Hello, Daniel.
Hi, good evening. Let me try and turn on my camera.
I don't believe it. Miss Barbara is ready now, and I was looking for her. Mercy.
I'm here. I want to thank Platinum Artistic Toastmasters Club for this opportunity to be a guest here. I really want to improve on my public speaking, and I think this is a very good forum for artists and others to grow. You, the experts, don't seem to be condescending. I like the culture that you all have with this Toastmasters Club, where you all seem to be nurturing. It seems to more be a nurturing, parent-like environment where you'll help others to improve. So the creativity being fun, I think it's really well presented here. And I hope maybe in the new year, I might get that fuel, that passion to actually join in and improve my own speech. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Daniel. With all your Christmas lights and everything, she must be feeling the Christmas season and everything is already there. Thank you so much. And how about Toastmaster Clive Bowen? Would you like to say a few words?
Always a pleasure, Toastmaster Sintoma. I really thoroughly enjoyed this meeting. I thank you for leading us, and all the elements came together to make it a wonderful experience for everyone. I particularly had looked forward to the presentation by Mr. Hinkson, and we heard the first part, as we have now decided. He has given us verbal reasoning, and beyond that, we hope that he will get into his true vernacular and give us his artistry when he comes again, so that we might taste the conversations that people share in jazz, and that we might see his colors, his tones, his rhythms, his harmonies, and understand the perspective that has driven him in terms of philosophical outlook and how it marries with the music that he produces. It's a wonderful experience, and I look forward to that time.
Thank you. Wonderful, wonderful.
I think Toastmaster Mary, she would like to say something.
Sure.
So, yes, but she's muted again. So I'm not sure who can assist.
Yeah, all right.
Yes.
Good evening again. I hope everyone can hear me. Okay,
Yes.
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity to join this evening. I was truly inspired. With the group, I forgot to use the word inspire. Actually, I was taken aback, but I'm happy to be with all. Well, I was happy with Boo Hinkson. I was very anxious to hear what Boo had to say. It's very interesting, again, very inspiring. And with all the intelligent people in the group, I am very inspired again to be a part of that group. And I'm saying, you know, it's time for me to start getting serious about it, start doing some homework, because I was unprepared. I just came into Hebu and I was called upon. So I have to do as a little homework, so the next time I'll be quite prepared to make a better contribution. Anyway, thanks a lot for the encouragement. According to the young lady a while ago, there is the club where you learn and people encourage you. So thanks everyone, and I look forward to the other meeting, to joining the other meeting. So thanks and good night. Good evening.
Thank you. Thank you. Always a pleasure to have you, Mary Bruce. Yes, and I would like to encourage everyone. We are very close, that close to chartering. And I'd like to encourage everyone who has not filled in their forms or made their payments to do so as soon as possible, because come third week of December, we're hoping to be chartered. Our next meeting is on the 20th. It will be our final meeting for the year on December 20th. So I'd like to say, see everyone on the 20th. Please attend the meeting. Looking forward to have you. It was a wonderful meeting and I was truly inspired. And this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.